On Thursday evening, the January 6th committee held its first hearing to air evidence that former President Donald Trump knew that he had lost the election. Everybody around him knew that he had lost the election and therefore had tried to steal it by partly trying to encourage the violence at the Capitol, as well as the fake elector scheme, etc. Now, the select committee showed interviews of some of Trump's closest advisors during this attempted coup: Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Attorney General Bill Barr, Trump campaign spokesperson Jason Miller, as well as General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, these hearings were broadcast all over the major news networks, as well as many independent outlets, with one exception: Fox News. Weird. They didn't really talk about it all that much. I mean, sure, yeah. They showed a little bit, they showed the room every once in a while. They'll, pop in, oh, how are the propaganda hearings doing? But even though Fox News didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it, one person was watching very intently, and that was former President Donald Trump. In fact, he took to Truth Social. He said this: "So the Unselect Committee of Political Hacks refuses to play any of the many positive witnesses and statements, refuses to talk of the election fraud and irregularities that took place on a massive scale, and decided to use a documentary maker from fake news ABC to spin only negative footage." Okay, wait. So let me just ask, what positive witnesses? I mean, look, the January 6th committee subpoenaed a lot of people in the Trump world to come in and bring their statements. Well, why didn't they? A lot of them happened to either refuse to testify or to even answer subpoenas. And the ones that did, well, the ones that didn't really make you look all that good, or didn't make Trump look all that good. So maybe it has something to do with, being under oath. And if you're caught in a lie under oath, well, that's very bad for you. It's going to go very, very badly. So, yeah. Look, again, we had the Justice Department. We had numerous other Trump officials saying, we just didn't see any evidence of mass voter fraud. Believe me, we wanted to. We looked. We didn't see it. It's not there. It doesn't exist. In fact, Trump campaign aide Jason Miller told Trump that, quote, in pretty blunt terms, that he was going to lose. And that is based on the numbers that they had that night. Now, he came out later and said, oh, you took me out of context. I mean, a little bit. Yes, I did say that based on the numbers that we had, but I didn't talk about the challenges that we are doing in the states for the numbers. And so, we didn't factor that in. Okay, well, you had 59 cases that you had brought challenging the election results all over the country. 59 cases of which you lost. You won one, and that was on a technicality. And by the way, that netted Trump a good, 200 additional votes? Oh, mass voter fraud. Look, again, you also had numerous recounts finding additional ballots for both candidates, by the way. You had more, some places that that would find more ballots for Joe Biden, and others that found additional ballots for Trump, and many that found additional ballots for both. And it didn't really change the result all that much. It wasn't even near enough to change the results. Joe Biden won the election. But again, we've had conspiracy after conspiracy, which always continues to get debunked, but they never stop with new conspiracy theories, propaganda films. You have Mike Pillow and his crusade to prove that it was the Iranians, the Pomeranians, the Chinese hackers, just all this ridiculousness that we had. And it really turned this guy into an absolute laughing stock. Sidney Powell's Kraken. Remember, she was going to release a Kraken? Well, she released something. It was just a dead fish. Rudy Giuliani, speaking of dead things that might smell dead, at least, he has been disbarred for lying and forced to, do cameo videos for cash to pay his legal fees. Sorry. Almost everybody around Trump has faced some sort of consequences over that big lie, except for him. Trump hasn't faced any consequences, not any real ones. He's a giant black hole, and everybody around him is going to go down in that hole. And even if he doesn't face legal consequences, which I hope he does, his reputation, it's not good. It's never going to recover. That said, it is still possible that he could become president again because of how completely just messed up our electoral system is, how weak the Democratic Party is in fighting against him, and the very possibility that, could rig the election. But again, I think the third possibility is fairly unlikely, depending on what you would consider to be rigging, because everybody has a different definition on what rigging actually means. Look, if you're thinking like, okay, he's going to do the thing that he is accusing Democrats of, just straight up forging ballots, I think that's way less likely because it's more likely to get caught. But I do think that if the Republicans continue with their plans to disenfranchise as many Democratic voters as possible through voter suppression, things like voter ID laws, taking away polling places, things like that. I would see them trying to bring back a poll tax if they could. I think that's far more likely, things like that. That said, he's not done. He then also goes after William Barr. He says, Bill Barr was a weak and frightened attorney general who was always being played and threatened by the Democrats and was scared stiff of being impeached. How do you not get impeached? Do nothing or say nothing, especially about the obvious rigged and stolen election. To put it another way, the crime of the century. The Democrats hit pay dirt with Barr. He was stupid, ridiculously said that there was no problem with the election and they left him alone. It worked for him, but not for our country.
Bullshit.
That's what I got to say about that one. It's funny. When Barr left, he's like, William Barr, he was tremendous. Wonderful to have him. Did such a great job. Isn't that what happens every single time a Trump administration official leaves or had left? Like, oh yeah, there's wonderful. We're sad to see him go, and then later on, coffee boy, incompetent, the worst. They're weak, sad, and pathetic. Same thing every single time. In fact, in a follow-up, he added, Bill Barr was a coward who would not let his U.S. attorney in Philadelphia, where election fraud was rampant, to even think about looking at it. Okay. Again, we had all of these recounts and all of these audits. No evidence! They just can't find it. And you would think that they would have found it by now. At least something. Now, finally, though, the best rage, truth, I guess, is Donald Trump throwing his own daughter under the bus. In response to her video testimony, he said this, quote, Ivanka Trump was not involved in looking at or studying election results. She had long since checked out and was, in my opinion, only trying to be respectful to Bill Barr and his position as Attorney General. He then added, he sucked. Oh, how bad does it look when your daughter doesn't even agree with you? Doesn't even agree with you. Then again, he then said she was checked out. What does that mean? What does being checked out mean? What, is she not paying attention to the election, which was very, very important to both you and I assume the rest of your family who had worked in the White House with you? Remember, Ivanka was using this. Ivanka and Jared were both using their position in the White House as advisors to get special deals. You would think that they would want to stay in that position of privilege and power and influence to be able to make more deals with world leaders and make more money, because it always comes down to the money when it comes to the Trumps. But you think that with her future business possibilities hanging in the air, that she just wouldn't pay attention to the election? The one thing that I can guarantee Donald Trump couldn't stop talking about, oh, the election, it's coming, the election, it's going to be tremendous. Yeah, okay, Dad, pass me the potatoes. Or in this case, it'd be, Daddy, please pass me the potatoes. No, of course she paid attention. Yes, she paid attention. But again, he also accused her of being just very nice to William Barr. Yeah, okay, sure. The whole thing is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Again, the first day of the hearings, this is only the first day. Only the first day. Not so good for Trump. In fact, pretty bad. But let me just say this. This is not going to matter to any of his sycophantic followers. They don't care. They don't care. Not at all. They look at this and say, don't give a shit. Trump 2024. Over and over again. Because they're a cult. And that's it. They're tied to this person. And by the way, it's not just the weirdo cult followers, but also you have people in positions of power that have tied their careers to people like Donald Trump. And that's it. But understand that those people don't matter. They're a fringe. They're a minority of a minority. No, what this is really about is trying to get to the truth of the matter. And yes, it's not even going to matter probably politically. I don't see Trump getting in trouble at all for this, even no matter what the evidence is. I don't think Merrick Garland's got the balls to go after him. That said, it's still a matter of the truth. Trump knows the truth. He knows that what he did, he knows exactly what he did. And that's why he's being just incredibly pissed off that people are hearing about it.